fired up. We got a brand new week starting. We about to finish out November. I'm super excited because we got one of the major, eat all you can, gorge yourself holidays out of the way. It is still Cyber Monday, which means all those deals that you didn't get on Friday are probably online right now, but hopefully you didn't spend your whole paycheck, and hopefully you still got some energy left because we still in the fourth quarter of the year. And I'm fired up because we got about 4 to 5 weeks, and it's about to be December, and it's about to be when a lot of people take time off and take the rest of the year off, and you guys are here on Triple M because you guys have already decided that it's not going to be an off kind of fourth quarter. It's about to be an on kind of fourth quarter. And I'm fired up because we got a guy on Triple M today. His name is Sharma. He's a world-renowned author, world speaker. I've read 2 of his books. The first book I read was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and then the second book I read was The Leader Who Had No Title. Roxy's actually reading them right now. Really great books if you're looking into a story-based, kind of like lesson-filled book. They're really good. Leader Who Had No Title and The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, both by Sharma. This guy's a monster when it comes to focusing and getting the things you want to get done. I don't know if you can relate, but do you ever feel like, man, there's so many things going on throughout the day that you wind up at the end of the day like, what did I do? Like, what happened today? I was supposed to go here, but I got sidetracked. He's going to be talking today about how to get the 100x productivity you want. He said he's going to talk about how the top achievers are being focused and producing and how the underachievers are being unfocused and not producing. And you get to decide, I get to decide, we get to decide which habits we want to take on. So without further ado, Sharma talking about 100x productivity. This dude is a beast. Get your notes out because we're doing shares at the end. Welcome, Sharma.
A little planet in a huge galaxy, and before we know it, we're going to be a bunch of dust. You cannot get to the mountaintop without taking a few missteps.
He's a Canadian writer, speaker, leadership expert, and former litigation lawyer. He's the author of 15 global bestsellers, including The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. He's the founder of a business leadership training firm, Sharma Leadership International. He's Sharma, and here's my take on his top 10 rules for success. Number 1 is my personal favorite, and make sure to stick around all the way to the end for some special bonus clips.
I mean, the reality is, reading a book or going to a conference or having a great conversation where you get this golden information, that's all fantastic. But what makes mastery is execution on the ideas, not the ideas. And so no idea works unless you're willing to roll up your sleeves, do the practice, invest the time, put in the effort, do the work. I think we've all observed a lot of people who they love reading the books. They love showing up at the courses. They do all the online training and nothing ever changes. And they say, well, I don't know why it doesn't change, why my life doesn't change, why my thinking doesn't change, why my performance doesn't change, why my relationships don't change. Well, it's because ideas don't work if you don't execute on them. So if you look at the great business builders, you look at any great performer, one thing that makes them great is their grit. One thing that makes them great is their hunger to practice. One thing that makes them great is they are willing to sacrifice. I mean, yes, they're passionate, but did you know the root of the word passion is suffering? You've got to be willing to suffer for your vision. You've got to be willing to suffer to reach BIW, best in world. You've got to be willing to suffer the ridicule and laughter of your critics and your cynics to get to a place called world class. Nothing fails like success. You're successful, maybe it's in your health, maybe it's in your finances, maybe it's in your career, maybe it's in your family life, maybe it's in the way that you show up in the world. Awesome. You're in a really vulnerable place right now. It is one thing to be successful. It is another thing to sustain success over the coming decades. Is that not a powerful idea? I mean, let's go to the entertainment industry. It's very hard to be a one-hit wonder. Let's not knock a one-hit wonder. But it's even harder to become an iconic rock band or hip-hop band. Let's go to the arts. It is very hard to come up with your Sistine Chapel. Got it. It is even harder to become a Michelangelo. So are you playing the short game or are you playing the long game? This is rule number 2, or lesson number 2 that life has taught me. Play the long game. Aim for legendary. Don't just say, I want to be world class in my dominant pursuit for a little window of time. Say, I want to have the guts and the grit and the acumen and the mindset and the capability and the commitment to create enduring success. And that's why I say nothing fails like success. You look at the restaurant that is hot in your neighborhood right now. They're on the path to obsolescence if they're not really careful. Sure, they went from a little neighborhood shop that made beautiful pasta, that had great service, that had the owner on the floor, shaking your hand, getting to know your name. Then they got written up in the magazines, and then they got interviewed, and then word of mouth spread like wildfire. And what happened? They became arrogant. You see, success can be so toxic. And it happens, it is such a pull on every human being. It just plays with your mind. And you literally shift from humility to arrogance. You shift from humility to arrogance, and once the arrogance sets in a mindset, it starts to populate every other person on the team, every other person in the culture, every other person in the community. And it is a very short fall from success to irrelevance. So lesson number 2 is nothing fails like success. As you become more successful, become more humble. As you become more successful, work even harder. As you become more successful, care even more about your product. As you become more successful, learn even more. I invite you, when you are the titan of your industry, be sitting in the room with 18-year-olds beginning their game. When you are the icon of your field, be the person who is up not at 5 o'clock anymore. Let's play at 4 o'clock, reading, listening to the podcast, writing in your journals, setting your goals, focusing on your intentions. As you become more successful, be more humble. As you become more successful, be even more punctual. As you become more successful, become even more passionate. As you become older, become even younger. Yesterday I was walking on the street and I met this man in his 80s. He said, Robin, I finally retired. He's probably close to 90. And he is a legendary clothier in the country that I live in. And he just retired. And he started his shop, which is now an empire, in 1954. So I don't know what that is, but that is decades and decades and decades and decades. And he did not want to retire. He just retired, but he is still on fire to do amazing things. Age is just a number. Do not let an old person into your body. Nothing fails like success. Number 3, unbelievably important, which is the importance of scheduling. I talk a lot about having a dream, having a plan, being inspired, but all ideas don't work unless you do the work. And some of the best work you can do is getting really good at creating a one-page plan. Have your big 5, the 5 things that need to happen this year for this to be your best year yet, on a one-page plan. Your top 5 values, put them on that same plan. Your top 5 sub-goals sequenced into each quarter of this year on that one-page plan. And every morning while your competition or the rest of the world is asleep, get up at 5 a.m. I'll teach you how to do that in future videos. But look at your one-page plan. Spend 20 minutes on that so it becomes a brain tattoo, a burning obsession, so it alights you with inspiration. So you go out in the world and you understand that clarity is power, and you so intimately know what has to happen during this day, this week, this month, this quarter, this year to get you closer to your mountaintop. Because the hours that ordinary people waste, extraordinary people do. Because they're not bored like most people. Most people need to medicate themselves with too much TV, too much Facebook, too much video, too much chit-chat, too much busyness because they don't know their goals. Because they don't have a one-page plan. Because they don't have a one-page schedule. I've got my schedule for every 7 days. Almost everything I need to do goes on it. And you might say, Robin, well, that's a very rigid way to live. No, it's a very free way to live, because then I have the power to live life on my own terms. I feel inspired. I'm not wasting each day. I'm leveraging each day. 4th point, become outrageously enthusiastic. And again, you're going to say, Robin, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. You know, being enthusiastic isn't important. Next thing you're going to tell me is get up in the morning and look in the mirror and saying, I think I am, I think I am. I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. But isn't it true that the most enthusiastic person in the room influences people, and they elevate people, and they encourage people? Another issue of Fortune magazine a little while ago did a story on Richard Branson's Necker Island conference. He invited all sorts of amazing people, and the reporter in the room said something I've never forgotten. The reporter said, it was striking to me how in each of the conference sessions, the moguls of these giant firms were always the most enthusiastic people in the rooms. It's amazing to me when I meet world-class CEOs. They are the most humble, the most passionate, they are the most engaged, they are the most lively people in the room. I think it's fundamentally important to be the most enthusiastic person you know. I think in so many ways, leadership is about inspiring people by your example. It goes back to my dad, you know, and he was very much about humility. I mean, he's 77 right now, and he gets up every morning and he goes off to his medical practice, and he still sees patients all day. And he said, I said, Dad, why are you still doing that at 77? He said, because my patients need me. Wow. And so I think, you know, one of the core values he was so brilliant in sharing with me is to be an instrument of service. And I think the moment your ego runs your brain and the ego runs your business and the ego runs your way of being, then your gifts and your talents and your focus and your capabilities are off the creativity and the talents and the service that will make you great in the world. And I think it gets to a very philosophical point, if I may. Yeah. I think it's relevant to any leader, any entrepreneur, any business builder, any game changer. But, you know, I mean, there is such an addiction to the shiny toys that the ego sells us. Okay? Yes. Yeah. And society and the matrix and our peers and the world says, if you get a Ferrari, if you sell 10 million books, if you have lots of money in the bank, if you have, you know, the beautiful partner in the big house, then you're going to wake up every morning and look in the mirror and you are going to feel full of joy and peace and feel you're fully alive. And, you know, I've had most of those in my life at a pretty exponential level. I've been very blessed. And not one of those things has provided me with enduring, sustainable happiness and fulfillment. Yeah. And the things that provide me with just deep happiness and deep fulfillment and energize me all come from a position of inner power. And so, you know, at the events you're talking about, I don't derive much power from all the books I've sold or bestseller. I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. I care less about that than ever before. At the end of the day, we are a bunch of people on a little planet in a huge galaxy, and before we know it, we're going to be a bunch of dust. And the great billionaires get buried next to the taxi drivers and the pizza makers, right. And we are not that big a deal. Yeah. And I think all that really matters is while we are alive, you know, do your best to use every day as a vehicle to birth your talents into the world. And secondly, if you do that, you're going to serve the world and raise the world with you. Mm-hmm. And that all just comes from inner power. I mean, that's just deriving your power from a place within, you know, and that's where you get grace, and that's where you get great creativity. That's where you get boundless energy, because it's not about addicted to what the world thinks of you. Yeah, I think failure is the highway to success, and I know that sounds like a platitude, but society or people teach us, right? Mm-hmm. They say, oh, if you fail and feel uncomfortable, you've done something wrong. Mm. And what I try to do in all of my books and my presentations and my tweets is you cannot get to the mountaintop without taking a few missteps. And so a business that wants to win, you have to outfail your competition. And as human beings, you know, failure is not a bad thing. You know, ask yourself, what's the opportunity from the failure, and get into the game, because when you get to the last hour of your last day, it will not be the failures you regret, it'll be all the risks you didn't take.
Hey, here in my backyard, people always asking me for a tour.
All right, so I guess that's a good cue to get into these nuggets. So, Rox, what do you have for us?
I'm going.
Okay. You want me to start?
Uh-huh.
All right, you guys. So I really love Robin Sharma. I love his mindset. I don't know if you guys caught it at the beginning where it said on the bottom, he left his law practice at 25 because he was dissatisfied with life. And for me, that kind of shows me the kind of person he is. Imagine his dad was a doctor, as he said. He was a lawyer, went through a lot of school to be a lawyer. He's a sharp guy, so I'm sure he was being successful. But for him, he said he wasn't satisfied with what he was doing. So he left the law practice to pursue his dreams. Now he's a world-renowned author, world-renowned speaker, but all that didn't happen yet. So what that shows me is that all these things he's going to be talking about have actually changed his life. From an easier, there's a lot of things that are easier to do than walk away from your career that you built that long, especially when your dad is probably in the same type of career. Everybody says doctor, lawyer, engineer. And imagine the conversation he was having. So I'm like, that cues me into he's going to drop some major nuggets right now. So I'm going to give you number one, execute your ideas. He said, what are the difference between the people that read all the books, go to the seminars, show up to the events, go to Triple M, and the people that succeed inside of that and the people that don't? Because I've seen them both. I see people that do all the books and go to all the seminars, and they're at every training, and they're at they're posting every positive motivational quote, and ain't nothing changed. And it's because executing is the crucial part. He said, inside of your dream, inside of your vision, you must be willing to suffer for your vision, because you must be willing to suffer the discipline. You must be willing to suffer to do the things that you don't feel like doing, but you said you were going to do and are required. You must be willing to suffer the getting up early, the staying late, the not listening to the ridicule, the staying the path when others leave. You must be willing to do all those things regardless of feeling and only based on purpose. Execution. I see so many people, and I'm really grateful for me. I'm not grateful for me. I see so many people that do this, and I'm grateful I did it. I don't know why I didn't, but I'm grateful I did it. It's something I've tried to do over and over. Smart people. I consider myself a smart person. I've read a lot of books. I always try to work on my intellect, but I've seen so many smart people outthink a good idea before they even give it a shot. They're like, oh man, you know what? That could work, but then this, and this, and this, that'll happen. It will never work. And they haven't even taken a step. You know what? This won't work because this, and that, and this, and that. And then they never take a step because they outthink every single idea because they think of how bad it could go. And sometimes you got to be so naive. Sometimes you got to be so ignorant to it that you say, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm not going to think about 17 steps down the line. I'm just going to think about step one. Because there's things when you take step one, then you take step two, then you take step three that happen differently than when you're sitting back from step zero and you're thinking step 1, 2, and 3. There's different things that happen when you take the step. Because you taking the step actually changes the universe around you. And that's something you can't predict in your thoughts. So I love the execution is your worship. Execute your ideas. I tell people, if you're inside of Herbalife or you're going for your health results or you're tuning in for success, try everything. Everything. At least try it. Do not be the person that says, you know what, I know that won't work. 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 How you know? I just know. And they broke, they overweight, they unsuccessful. How you know? I just know. No, you don't know. Now, if you tried it and you say, hey, I tried that and it didn't work, that's a different conversation. And guess what? They'll be way better off for trying and having it not work. Why? Now they have experience. So be the person that tries every single thing. I want you guys to know, in high school, I used to be deathly afraid of speaking to people. I literally would be at the lunch table and the people around would be like, Aubrey, why do you never talk? I got that question in front of everybody. I would be sweating before I had to go up in front of class and talk. I would be like, I hope the school bell rings. I got to get out of here. Like that throw up feeling, I had that every single time. Who would have known that I come into Herbalife and I start doing videos just to start speaking and then we start Triple M? These would be one of the major ways to my success. If I had never been willing to try, I would have never found a new tool and ability. And that was the biggest learning point for me, because you guys have hidden tools and abilities that you don't even know yet that only trying will reveal to you. Only when you try will they get revealed to you, because you'll be like, man, I'm not as bad as I thought about that. Maybe this could work. Hey, I actually like doing that. And only through executing will you be that revealed to you. So I know I really hit on that one, but that was enough nugget for me. I could have went home after that. Rox, what you got for us?
All right, what's up? Good morning, you guys. So I'm going to keep this short because I want to hear other people's takeaways. So some of my biggest takeaways, I love when he was talking about Ink for Legendary. And he said, don't be a one-hit wonder. And that really stood out to me, because I know, like, whenever he was talking about the restaurants, you know, you go to this restaurant and it's fire, the food, the service, and then once it starts to get a little bit of like popularity, the food isn't that good, the service isn't that good. I mean, we experienced when we used to go to our monthly event, every single STS, and it was great, and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse over time, and to now we don't even visit this place because of how bad it got. So that's so key to remember, that as you become successful, to work even harder, to become even more humble, and just to keep going, and don't let success become toxic. Like, I really love that, and I thought that was a great key point. And then another one that I really loved, I loved how he talked about create a one-page plan and write the 5 top things that you have to happen this year. You know, Aubrey and I write out our goals for the year, like in the very beginning of the year. He's very good at writing them every single day, all that kind of stuff. But I really love the focus of 5 as opposed to having 10 to 12, because then you're just like, shit, like, where do I start? Sorry for the language. But if you have 5, that is so much more attainable, and then you know where to go, you know where to start. So I really love that. And then he also said, write down 5 values, and then remember that clarity is power. The more clear you are with your goals, the more possibilities of you being able to reach these goals. Why? Because you're clear. So I really love those takeaways.
Powerful. I love the one page. It's so funny because that was my page I wrote last night. Every day I try to write my goals and my intentions and my gratitude. You become what you think about. So imagine if I got it from Grant Cardone too, got author of 10X Rule. He talks about every single morning, every single night he writes his goals because he's obsessed about his goals. Imagine if you became obsessed about your goals, how much more likely you would be to achieve them. So I'm going to challenge everybody on live and watching, write down your 5 minimum 2017 goals. They could be more, 10, 15, 20. And I'm going to challenge you. I challenge you. Post it, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Tag Roxy and I if you want, or just post it. Declare, yo, this is what I'm going to do in 2017. Not this would be nice. These are some things I'm thinking about. No, this is what I'm going to do. And then, you know what? Got to make it happen. You don't want to be that person that posts, yo, I'm about to get this health result in 2017, and January 2nd comes, you got the pie in your hand. That your people are going to be like, yo, what happened? What happened to these goals? I'm going to tell you on the flip side of that, when you say it and you do it, people are going to be like, damn, they said it and they did it. They're about their word. I can follow that kind of person. Guess what? You start building a team. You start becoming a leader. You start influencing others because they believe what you say and what you do are both one. The problem why people don't follow some people is because what they say and what they do are not aligned. They say one thing and they do another thing. They're like, hold up. I don't know who to listen to. Your words or your actions. Leaders say and do the same thing. So let's get a few shares. Give me a smile. Give me a thumbs up if you're excited to share one of your biggest takeaways. Wipe the sleep out your eye and give me the smile. There you go. Okay, Marvin and Kyrie, let's get it.
One of the biggest ones that I liked was number 2, aim for legendary, where he says nothing fails like success. So keep trying, keep doing what you got to do to be successful. And then another one was become outrageously enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah.
What brought that to me was our first STS. Like, we were watching Garen just over there jumping around table to table, doing backflips. And I'm just like, man. And, like, look where he is, like, now. Like, it's crazy.
You said usually the most enthusiastic people in the room are the most successful, and it actually holds true. Fired up. What about you, Kyrie? What was your biggest takeaway?
I think the best one that I thought was be an instrument of service. Do your best to use every day as a vehicle. So I need to actually do that with myself. I should just get started on myself so other people can see the difference and then they take that step.
Nice. I love that. In the beginning, he said, leaders inspire others by their example. I love that. Great stuff, Kyrie. Awesome nuggets. Let's get another takeaway. Give me a smile, a thumbs up.
Or just come off mute.
I don't know why she says that every day, and then 3 people come off mute and talk together.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. Armani, let's get it.
One of my takeaways I liked what he said was the more successful you become is the more humble you should get. And I think that's true, obviously, because if you get more successful and you're not really as humble, it's going to reflect in whatever you do. And also just execute your ideas and not just say what you're going to do, but actually do it. And that's like a big major key. It's one of my takeaways.
Major key alert. I love it. The more successful you become, the more humble you get to be. I love when he said, be the person that as they get more successful, they're getting up early. As they're getting more successful, they're learning from newer people. He said, be that CEO, that top achiever that's learning from the brand new 18-year-old. Because then imagine, he said, don't let an old person in your body. I love that one. Don't let an old person in your body. Old people thinking, and this is just a metaphor, is rigid. I know it already. I've got the success. Younger, mobile thinking is, I can always learn. I can always be a student. There's always better ways to do it. And that goes in alignment with nothing feels like success, because success thinks they have the only way to succeed already, when if you look at history, that's the exact opposite. The new success will always come from something different, not the same. So if one thing you got you to, in a successful restaurant, your service, your food, just maintaining those won't get you the next level of success. Your next level of success will be that as a foundation, but maybe now you add in a new dish that you create. Maybe now you add in a new event at night with, there's a different ambiance. It's going to have to be something different that you learn. Maybe now it's your delivery, your Uber style, Uber Eats. It's not going to be the same thing that you already did, because if it was, you would already be there. If it was what you were already doing, you would already be at that level of success. It's going to be something new that's going to be learned. So I really love that one. Let's get one more tip. Let's get it, Monica. Let's get it. Hit us with it.
Guys, so one of the ones that I liked a few. So I liked play the long game. I also like it doesn't matter how successful you are, always be humble. The one tool that I did like is write your one-page schedule. So write your top 5 values. And another one I did like, clarity is power. And the other one is failure is not a bad thing. It's just the risk you're willing to take. And also, you must be willing to suffer, because not everyone's always willing to suffer. They always give up. So you just got to be willing to suffer to get to where you want to get to.
Awesome. There you go. I love it. Great takeaways. Willing to suffer to get to where you want to go. Play the long game. And the failure is the road to success. It's like failure can be a checkpoint. It doesn't have to be like, I think from schooling, we got failures. If you got an F in class, it was like, oh, like you got to redo the whole class. People looked at you crazy, messed up your whole GPA. Instead, failure could be a doorway to success. Actually, it usually is. And if you change the way you think about it, it can make you so much more free. I love that. So great stuff today, man. Fired up. Epic takeaways. Great takeaways, Rox. And I'm so fired up to get into this week. If you're watching live, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching the recording, thank you guys for checking it out. I'm going to post it on YouTube. Repost the link. Repost the flyer. Repost a picture that represents your biggest takeaway. It doesn't matter how you repost. Just pay the information and inspiration forward that Robin dropped on us today. Invite your friends and family. Next Monday, we're here every single Monday. It's going to be the first Monday in December, so you want to start December off right. You guys have a great and epic Monday. Let's get it! Get this life, y'all. Peace.